Right, folks, well, you just heard a track off the brand new Babylon AD album, Live at 25. And I tell you what, it's a real pleasure to be joined on the line by bassist Robb Reid. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure to be here, and I'd like to say hello to all my British fans, all the band's British fans, because they're not just mine, they're everyone's. So it's good to be here.
It's a great shame that I missed you guys at Firefest for various reasons, mainly work-related. I couldn't make it, so I was absolutely gutted. But to have the opportunity to finally, after all these years, get to see you guys on the Monster Rock Cruise, for me, is a real pleasure.
Absolutely. We are, and I'm sorry I didn't get you at Firefest, but Monsters of Rock is the next big thing on the horizon for us, and for us, as a band of 25, 30 years doing this, it's going to be awesome for us to meet and actually have intimate interaction with all of our fans. I'll tell you, I'm getting goose pimples right now thinking about it.
Oh, tell me about it. I mean, my wife went mad, blew all the savings, and said, "Right, we're going." And of course, I argued for about all of 0.5 of a second.
Well. I honestly, back in the day, we didn't have anything like this. There was no way for fans to connect and connect with their the people that they they idolize and they listen to their music all the time. And now, I'll be walking down one of the aisleways and you'll be able to grab me and I'll be able to grab you. And that's a pretty awesome thing.
I mean, I'm just staggered when I think that, the first album came out in 1990. And, I mean, I'll be absolutely honest with you, Rob. It's one of my favourite debut albums by a band.
Well, thank you. Thank you. It was really odd. We got a lot of critical acclaim. And I think the biggest issue back during that era was that there were just so many bands of our genre that just,
oh God, yeah.
We kind of got, in a sense, lost in the shuffle, and it was only the true hard rock tuned ears, such as yours, that picked up on that album and appreciated it for what it was worth,
Well, there are so many, there are so many killer tracks on that album. So many standout tracks. And it was, as you're saying, it's getting lost in the mix. And unfortunately, that album is not alone in that. There are other albums, I think, that, slipped through the net, which should have been absolutely huge.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you on that. And, what's even more mystifying to me is that here we are 25, 30 years later, and we're still around. We're still the original lineup. We're still playing those great old tracks that people just love. And we feel honored to be able to go back out and do it again. And it's a little bit sweeter this time for some reason. I that's the way I look at it. It's a little bit sweeter this time.
Well, I mean, I've grabbed the new album yesterday off CD Baby, and I've played it several times, I think would be an understatement. And it's got to be said, live albums are one of those things. It's a love-hate thing, and it's, they get an awful lot of criticism, and then you get all the accusations of, it's all been tweaked in the studio, and someone's polished it with an oily rag, and all the rest of it. But it's got to be said that on this live album, I mean, you guys just sound as fresh as you did when that first album came out.
Oh, I appreciate that. And, for us, it's kind of, we truly believe that for our band, for our music, the live show is the best representation of it. Because, when we were little kids, we always thought the same thing. Live albums are polished and they're trickery and the audience is fake and everything's fake. But for us, because we have such a strong live performance, we felt that that's the best way to represent the band, is just do a live thing. We've never been scared of it. A lot of bands are a little frightened of going and taking live tapes and then, marketing it and producing it as something to sell. We, on the other hand, we relish in it because we know that anything we do in the studio, we can pull off live.
Right.
And we made it a point. We made it a point back on the first album and the second album as well to make sure that we could duplicate what we did in the studio on the stage. And a lot of bands don't do that. And I think that's a disservice to a lot of fans, because the fans come to see your live show, they want to hear certain songs, but unfortunately the band put too much production in the studio and they can't pull it off live. We don't have that problem, you know, and I think that's what kind of sets our live record apart from others, you know?
Well, I'd certainly say, I mean, for those people who are going on the cruise who maybe aren't overly familiar with you guys, if they were to go and get themselves a copy of this album, I think that would, shall we say, prepare them nicely for when they get to see you guys on the boat.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And, you know, there's going to be, I don't know if you've been monitoring what's going on with Monsters of Rock. On the day before the cruise ends, we're going to be doing a private show over at the Blue Lagoon, private acoustic set, which is going to be really, it's going to be a departure for us because we've not really done that type of performance before. But, you know, we're going to be pulling out some songs that people have never heard before, never heard us do before. And for me, that's going to be fun. That's going to be, you know, along with our regular performances on the boat, we're going to do this Blue Lagoon acoustic performance. So, you know, the fans are going to get all that they want and more on this thing.
Well, of course, acoustic performances, and there's another thing which is, shall I say, hit or miss. It's another live album situation, because you can't hide, as it were, with an acoustic performance.
Really?
You know, there is. It is what it is. All mistakes are there, you know, raw and live for everybody to see and hear.
Right, exactly. And you know, playing acoustically as a musician, that's, as you say, that's a tougher bill to fill. You know, you've got to be spot on. But for us, the little nuances of not being spot on are sometimes good. If you follow that train of thought. But what you're going to get Babylon AD at its rawest. You're going to get us, you know, no amplifiers, just sitting on a bench playing some cool songs, you know. And then, you know, later on you're going to get, you know, us on stage with lights and big amps and the full-blown Babylon AD rock show.
Fantastic stuff.
So it's definitely something to look forward to.
Well, I'm going to put you on the spot now. Even though this album is literally just out, have you guys got any plans to release a full-length studio album? Obviously, because the last thing that you guys brought out was obviously the Lost Sessions last year.
Mm-hmm.
But
so to touch on that, I will cautiously say yes. You know, I don't want to get people's hopes up, but the band is writing, and there has been some roundtable discussions regarding releasing new material, potentially this year. So, to answer your question, yes, there will be another studio record.
Well, that's fantastic news. I mean, is it a case of, I know with an awful lot of bands, and obviously with all the projects that go on, I mean, just trying to get everybody together, because let's face it, it's not like everybody's living in their mansions and all the rest of it. You know, most musicians work for a living as well. Just to get guys together, just to get some studio time is, you know, a chore and a half.
It's daunting. It is a daunting task. Logistically, you know, for our band, the majority of guys are still up in the San Francisco Bay Area.
Right.
Myself and Danny, our guitar player, I've moved down to San Diego, which is about 500 miles south, and Danny's moved up north a couple of hundred miles. So logistically, it can be a little challenging. But we look at it like this. You know, this is our band. This is what we worked so hard for so many years to do, and we will do whatever it takes to get in the studio, get into rehearsal. In fact, the weekend before last, we played up in the Bay Area. So I drove 500 miles up, played a show, drove 500 miles back, and then last weekend I went up for rehearsals and did the same thing again. So, you know, I put a lot of legwork into it, and I will continue to do that, and I'm sure the other guys will too, to progress this reborn kind of Babylon AD feel that we have.
Well, I'm going to stick my neck out and say that after you've played Monster Rock Cruise and after you've done, obviously, the live shows and whatever to promote this album, I think you're going to have an awful lot more fans baying for more material.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think just as in our performance at Firefest, a lot of people, that was their bucket list, was to see Babylon AD.
It was
their
mine.
list.
Yeah.
And we actually, we helped them, achieve that cross that off their list. So I think that the MOR cruise is going to be very similar in a sense that people who have never, back in the day, 25, 30 years ago, didn't get a chance to see us, are now going to get a chance to see us. And not only see us, but see us in some very intimate venues.
Mm.
So, we're really, really looking forward to that. And, I have to say that social media has been a huge, huge help for us. I get people contacting me every day on Facebook saying, hey, I got to see you guys last week in, Las Vegas or wherever, and I waited 25 years for it, and I wasn't disappointed. And those are the kind of responses that we kind of just love. It's, it's a warm, fuzzy thing,
Well, I'm going to stick one stop questioning right at the end here, and that is regarding the last two tracks on the live album, of course, are cover versions. Now,
right.
What made you guys choose those two tracks?
Well, for the first track, the Montrose track, Rock the Nation, Ronnie Montrose, who we all know is just, guitar god, legend, passed away a couple of years ago.
Yep.
And he actually was from the Bay Area. We actually have interacted with him on some solo things, and we've done benefits with him. And so we just felt like we wanted to kind of honor Ronnie.
Yeah.
And he's rocked the nation, and now we're out rocking the nation. So that's where that one came from. And it's a great song.
Oh, absolutely.
It's a great rock and roll. Yeah, it's an awesome rock and roll song. And then with Lights Out, UFO has been personally one of my, just in my top three of all bands of all time. Pete Way was a model for me and kind of a mentor in a way. And so, again, it's kind of paying homage to those bands and those artists that gave us, the fire when we were kids. And so that's why the UFO tune is on there.
Well, I do feel that sometimes, not in a wrong way, but fans forget that musicians are music fans as well, and they have favourite bands that they idolise, and they're the same as the rest of us. If they were to meet that person, they would be sort of not quite a gibbering wreck, but they were certainly sort of the we're not worthy moment, as it were, the Wayne's World moment.
Right. Yeah. I absolutely agree with that. People really need to remember that, especially our non-musician people or non-musical people, that we are fans too. We were 13, 14, 15 years old going to Kiss concerts and going to see Ronnie Montrose and UFO, and we were in the audience with our fists raised. And that doesn't change. I'm actually, there's going to be some great bands on the cruise, and I'm looking forward to seeing a couple of them as an audience member, and I'm going to have my fist up in the air just like everybody else. So we're all here for the same reason. We're all here because we love rock and roll. We love the music. We love the vibe.
Absolutely.
Love the scene. And the other thing that's kind of cool is that now that we're older, we have the wherewithal and the means to go out and do the things that we couldn't do when we were kids. We can go on these cruises and, go to concerts and buy the things that we want to buy. So it's kind of cool that we're a little older and have a little bit more, the possibility of getting to do these things is a little more real opposed to when we were kids.
And we made being 40 and 50 a lot cooler than it was when our parents were.
I'll tell you what. You take a 50-year-old from back in the 80s and put him against a 50-year-old
Oh,
now,
Jesus.
It's night and day, man. It's like, wow, what happened? I guess 50 is the new 30.
Yeah, I'll go along with that. We'll keep that one as that. Well, Rob, I'll tell you what, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting to you. Can't wait to meet up with you on the cruise, and I can't wait to see you guys. I say that is going to be a big tick off the bucket list. A bucket list which thankfully is getting smaller and smaller, and I say it's another one for me to get to the end of it.
I'm telling you, it's it's going to be awesome to meet all the people that I've been talking to over the years. It's going to be awesome to meet you and hang out with you, and just to be immersed in that fan artist rock and roll environment. It's again, I'm getting goosepimples, man.
Rob, thanks ever so much indeed.
Oh, thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure. Anytime.